Howdy, guys. How are y'all doing? A fantastic Monday evening to y'all. We're at the very end of Big Brother All-Stars. Could y'all believe that? It seems like it has been in some ways, so long ago that this season started. But I'm just glad we got a season, right? Hope y'all are all doing fantastic. Let me start the show off as I always do by giving a big old shout out, SKD143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all my fellow Big Brother fans. Thank y'all so much for coming out and watching the show with me as we talk Big Brother. We talk about the last week. David, Rachel, Angie, hey guys, JP, all of y'all, B. Hoss, man, all my friends out here. Thank y'all so much for your continued support week in, week out. But with that being said, in addition to all of y'all who've been out here for a while, welcome to all the new viewers that came here after watching my morning end updates on Instagram or YouTube. And welcome as well to any viewers that are watching on YouTube. For those of you on YouTube, if you got any questions, go ahead and post them. I'm not seeing the comments here, but I have access to them, and I'll try to answer some of those as well. So welcome all of y'all to the show. Now, I'm not going to call it sad news, just a change in direction, just to let y'all know that tonight is my final episode of Cliff Notes here on the TVCO app, as TVCO is taking their programming in a little bit different direction with a lot of their shows. So while I have the chance, I just want to thank TVCO for all of their support, for giving me the opportunity to get this show on the air. I've had so much fun. This is episode 39. So for those of you who really are interested, there's 38 hours worth of me talking out there on TVCO's app page. So I've had a blast doing it. I've had a blast talking to y'all. The fun part about this is the give and take, getting to actually chat with y'all, answer questions, everything. And I'm going to try to keep on the questions. That's primarily what I want to do this evening, is answer y'all's questions. Big Brother primarily, but hey, if you got something off the wall completely, I'll answer those as well. I'll talk about it all. But again, thank y'all. Best wishes for TVCO and the app as they move in a different direction. All the best for them. And again, thanks for the support they have shown me. So with that being said, before we talk about Big Brother, I did this a lot. I want to finish on the last night. Today is National What Day is Going On? Well, first of all, let me catch up because I wasn't scrolling the way I was supposed to. In that last episode on the cliffhanger, JP said, well, we're going to have a little bit of a cliffhanger because we're not going to know what happens with Big Brother when I shut this one down. And even though there's people who think it may be a little bit of a predictable season and all that, once you get in front of that jury, you never know what's going to happen, and we don't know who's actually going to be in front of that jury just yet. Teresa, Collie Mom, howdy to both of y'all, Nikki as well, Mabel, all of y'all. Hey, Animations, Kellogg 37, it's only me you see, and JP, all three of y'all. Thank you so much for the animations. I appreciate it. Alpha Cat, hey Cliff, I watch your YouTube daily updates every morning. Thank you. I've been having so much fun. Now, it's probably a good thing I'm wearing glasses, because if you look, you can see huge bags under my eyes. It's going to be amazing. Once Big Brother's over, I'm going to get to explore this new option. I've heard about it. It's called sleep. And so, yeah, I've been having a blast staying up all night long watching the live feeds, but not, it's been taking a little toll as well. So I'm looking, I hate to see Big Brother end because that's my favorite part of the year, but at the same time, I'll take a little bit of a break as well. So we'll see. Mason Bowen, hey, Cliff, you know Nicole is going to win. Well, we're going to talk about that here in just a second, right? Because we don't know just yet who may be winning. Angie, thank you for that animation. I thank you. PVGV fan, what does it mean disconnected? Well, it doesn't sound like a good thing if you're trying to watch Cliff Notes, PVG. If you don't see me talking, well, I guess if that's the case, this advice isn't really going to help you at all. Hopefully you're figuring out that maybe you need to log back in if that's the case. All right. All right, it was connected. That's not. Angie, thank you again for the animation. All right, so today is National What Day. We've had some good ones. We've had some interesting ones. It seems only natural today, for those of you who aren't aware, today is National Pumpkin Day. Now, I'm not real sure why it would be today and not on Saturday, the 31st of October, Halloween night. Seems like that would be the natural for pumpkins. But for whatever reason, today is National Pumpkin Day. So if you haven't gone out and got your pumpkins yet for carving, you better hurry because they're going to be all sold out before too long. I haven't done it myself. That's always been a big family tradition. Every year, Sharon, myself, the kids, we'd all each go get a pumpkin. We'd carve them. Sharon tended to do a very quick, very basic geometric design. I'm the kind that would download some program, some design that took an hour, 2 hours of carving and have something all exotic at the end. And by the time I got done, my hands were just little cramps from trying to punch out those pumpkins. Haven't done it yet this year, but we may try to do that. If we do, I'll post some pictures as well. So happy National Pumpkin Day to all of y'all, my friends. And with that being said, what else is going on? Tomorrow's National Chocolate Day, Chocolate Bar Day. Doesn't matter. I love that. So go out to carve your pumpkins today, eat your chocolate tomorrow. I think tomorrow's also National Black Cat Day. So you see a little theme in some of the situations we've got going on. All right. With that, let's move on to the next topic. Let's see. Oh, David Buchanan, do you have any pumpkin carving memories that stand out? Well, the good part is I still have all 10 fingers working in the oil field and carving pumpkins, and I didn't have anything too horrific so far. Kelly's saying, remember the year you used the Dremel tool on a pumpkin? Yeah, I'm an engineer. Yeah, I always have to try to solve the problem, fix it a little bit more. So yeah, I do remember a Dremel trying to cut the pumpkins and carve it a little bit. Didn't work so well. I discovered that Dremels sometimes don't like things that have a whole lot of moisture in them. It throws seeds and pulp everywhere. But I tried it. I had fun doing it. Other carving memories? No, the main ones just consisted of things like, oh, I accidentally carved where I shouldn't have. Well, I guess that pumpkin's going to have a nose that just merges right into its left eye, something like that. The main memories I have, though, is just sitting at the kitchen table with my family, and usually we'd play some scary music in the background and just having fun, watching each other and helping each other carve the pumpkins, and watching my kids when they were little. We had to help them do everything. As they got older, they got more advanced, and then after a while, it was just watching them do it, and all the joy was watching them do their designs and just having fun. Again, it's been a family activity every single year, so that was a lot of fun. Alpha Cat, are you excited for Star Wars: The Mandalorian? I guess I watched the first one. I enjoyed the first season. I hadn't really caught up with it. That's one of those I'll watch when I get a chance here. I've been so wrapped up with Big Brother, I haven't had time for Star Wars or anything else. But yeah, I'll watch it when it comes on to Disney Plus, certainly. All right, so another topic. As Big Brother finishes up, what I've been up to. As Big Brother finishes up, I don't know if y'all are Amazing Race fans out there or not, but I'm a huge Amazing Race fan. I've mentioned it before in the past, and I love Amazing Race, so I've been watching that. I think I'm going to start doing reviews of Amazing Race, so watch for that on my YouTube as well. But I just got to say, last week the teams went to Bogota, Colombia. I've been there, so I know all about Colombia. There's actually a lot of oil and gas that goes on in Colombia. It's funny because the first time I went there, which is probably 15 years or so ago, it was so dangerous between the drug cartels, the Colombian government, military conflicts, things like that, that I was not allowed to leave the city of Bogota under any circumstances whatsoever. I really wasn't even supposed to leave my hotel except when I visited with some clients at their offices, and then I had to have escorts, and it was just kind of a scary situation. And yet when I went back a few years ago, everything had been taken care of. Everyone had squashed their beefs, had done truces, and I made multiple trips to the countryside to visit different oil locations, things like that. The most wonderful country. I had a blast down there. It's also, just as an FYI, the first place I ever had snails. I ate them at a restaurant, buttered snails, and everything else. Had a blast with that. All right. Let's see. What else? I love Amazing Race. I do too. Cross-track. Britt Powell, can Nicole or Cody please cut each other? It'll be the most excitement we get all season. We've been waiting for this house to shake up the entire season. It just hadn't quite happened yet. I'm waiting. If Cody cuts Nicole, if Nicole cuts Cody, I think strategically that may be the best thing for them to do from a gameplay standpoint. I'm just not sure I see it happening. But if they don't do it, and one of them, say Nicole wins the final competition, she takes Cody along, and then Cody wins that the $500,000, it's going to be just like in Cody's season 16, where he took someone that was maybe the stronger threat, and it cost him $500,000. If that happens to one of these three contestants, that would be how do you just go on? I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda. It would be tough knowing that you made the wrong decision. It cost you $500,000, and it may happen. It depends. Are people going to look strictly at the strategy of who best serves their game to win it? Or are they still going to have emotions and loyalties and relationships interfere or come into play and maybe temper what's the best game move to make? I don't know. We're gonna find out real quick Wednesday, 2 nights from now. So we'll see. Angie, still waiting for you on Amazing Race. Well, this Amazing Race filmed a year and a half ago, so they're a little behind, and with COVID, they haven't started a new one, so you may just have to wait a little bit longer, Angie, before you see any new contestants on the Amazing Race. It would be fun to do, though. Behas, enjoyed you on TakeOver last Thursday. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, during the Thursday night episode last week, I actually got to go on to the CBS Instagram page and kind of take over the page and put out a lot of little stories and little blurbs talking about the episode and my thoughts and everything else. I had a blast doing it. It's been the best part about being Big Brother, other than playing the game itself. The interactions and the involvement ever since then has been so much fun, just getting to talk to fans and staying involved with the Big Brother community. So yeah, that has been a blast. Crosstrack saying, I think Cody will cut Nicole. You think so? I don't know. I just don't know. I think Cody thinks he can beat anyone. He's mentioned a few times, kind of kidding with her, saying, yeah, I'm going to cut you. And he always says it jokingly, but every time he says that, I can't help but think, well, you don't even say something like that jokingly unless in the back of your mind, there's at least that little seed of thinking, what would happen if I did? So it could be. Behas, thank you for that animation. I appreciate it so much. All right, let's see what's. Only because of the comment tonight about Derek. See, that's the thing. Cody's got to be so super concerned about not involving emotion and doing what's actually best for his game. Because if he makes a wrong decision, if he has the ability to decide who goes to the final two, and he takes someone and it cost him the game, he's never going to live it down. He will never live it down. At one time, what was it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Same thing with Cody. If he makes the wrong decision and again loses $500,000 for a result, he's going to go down in Big Brother history. It's going to be tough because everyone's going to always remind him about it from this point forever. Gramsy Live saying, would you ever do Big Brother again? Absolutely. Yeah, just make the call, Steve. I won't even pack clothes. I'll just show up with what I got on, walk in there, and be ready to play the game. But yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. Stressful, but it'd be a lot of fun. I just love the strategy. I mean, $500,000. It's not like I'm going to turn down a check if I ever play the game and win it. But it's not about the money. It's about matching wits with other people and seeing if you can figure out ways to survive and move on and conquer all and win the show. That's the best part of the whole thing. All right, so let's see. Who's this? It's only me you see. I'm cooking supper while watching. Sorry for the sign. No problem at all. I've got a few questions. I'm going to talk about food in Big Brother house here in just a second. So let me just hold that for a second. Yeah, Angie Hung saying Cody's very teasing in what he says. I get the feeling Cody and Nicole, their relationship is a little bit like a brother-sister type situation where, yeah, he's always teasing her. He knows he can get to her. He just continually pokes because he knows she gets worried about every little thing. Last night, she was in the diary room. She knew that Enzo and Cody were talking outside. So as soon as she got out, she asked Cody, said, hey, what were y'all talking about? What's going on? He said, oh, Enzo's saying, I'm your boy. I'm his boy and all that. And she immediately says, are you going to take him over me? So she's worried. She's concerned. I think Nicole feels comfortable that she could potentially win this thing or at least have a chance to do it. So in her mind, she's thinking, if I think that, then surely Cody is thinking about that as well. So why wouldn't he be considering leaving me behind and taking Enzo instead if he wins that final competition and has the right to do that? So Nicole worries about a lot of things all the time. She seems a little pessimistic by nature, but especially when you get to this point in the game, she's worried about it. It doesn't take much. And Cody says these little things that he's joking about. I don't think she's taking those jokingly at all. Mason said, I want to see Jeffree Star on Celebrity Big Brother. I know the name. I've really never followed or done much with Jeffree Star, but I've heard some of the names. I've heard some of the discussions and everything else. All right, so we've got Amazing Race. Let's talk about Big Brother. I know we've already been doing that, but we're almost there. Season's almost over. With COVID, I'm just so happy we got a season at all. If you had asked me in early June if we were going to get one, I probably would have said, nah, maybe a celebrity or something in the wintertime, and we'll just start back up next summer. So we got a season. We got all-star seasons, which everyone's been asking about forever. Was it a little more predictable than we hoped for? Yeah, but I don't think it has as much to do with who was playing the game as just the fact that all the power was focused just on one side. When you have this committee alliance that won all but 2 HOHs throughout the entire season, and even those other 2 other HOHs, they were won by Enzo, who just as well should have been in the committee, as much relationship as he had with everyone on that side. So you never had a chance for the underdogs to disrupt the process. The closest we came, oh, it was so close, when it was Christmas and Davon in that final spot, HOH head-to-head answering the question. Davon answered the wrong question. Christmas wins HOH, and it stays on the committee side. If Davon had won that, she would have shaken things up. She could have pulled some power her way, and it could have been a whole different season. But it just wasn't to be. But again, I think it has more to do with the alliance and the power staying on that side than the cast itself. You know, last season we had I won an HOH, Jessica won an HOH. We had a few people outside the alliance that were able to disrupt things a little bit. We just didn't see it this time. The one thing I do wish we'd seen that may have made a little bit of a difference is, well, a couple of things. One, I still wish, and I think I've said this out here before, I wish we'd had the chance for America to somehow contribute to a reward for one of the underdogs, a punishment for one of the people in the alliance. We could have shaken things up a little bit if we'd been given the opportunity to do something to influence the game, but it just didn't happen, and that's unfortunate. The other thing, I wish we'd had more competitions like that competition that ended up with Davon and Christmas, where they were head-to-head. The beauty about that was every person who won in their little head-to-head match had to then pick out the next 2 people who were competing. So it really forced every person to point out or to prioritize who their relationships, their alliances, their loyalties were to. So suddenly you have this big alliance, and it forces people to start showing some cards. I wish we'd had more events like that, just to create a little more suspicion and a little less friendliness between everyone on the new school big alliance side. That would have been fun as well. But it's all right. It didn't happen, and I'm still glad we got the season that we got. Now, with that being said, I feel like I'm saying that a lot tonight. We do have, before the finale, which I know we're all waiting for on Wednesday, but keep in mind, for those of you who aren't aware of it, we are voting for America's favorite house guest between now and then. I think you've got maybe tonight and tomorrow is your last chance to vote. You get to vote up to 10 times. I think go out to cbs.com, Big Brother. You can find the link out there. Vote for your favorite house guest. I got to say, last season, one of the most exciting parts of the entire season was finishing up as one of the top 3 in the favorite house guest rankings. That was such a cool honor. I was so happy. So I was happy to see Nicole win. Yeah, it would have been fun for me to win, but I was so happy to see Nicole win. And I was glad to see Tommy up there as well. So it's such an honor. So that's cool. Get your votes in. Now, you know what? I'm just going to talk for you all because I think my little thing is frozen up, guys. Yeah, I'm not ignoring your questions. It just every once in a while, my little network's acting up. So if you asked a question and I didn't answer it, I'm not ignoring you. It just froze up on me. So ask again. But one question: who am I voting for America's favorite house guest? I am going to keep that a secret, guys, because here's the thing. Yes, I've got favorites. I don't dislike anyone. There's people I like more than others. I've got favorites that I'm going to vote for, that I've been voting for America's favorite. But I don't want to influence y'all's opinion. Y'all should be voting for whoever y'all either enjoyed playing the most, who deserves it the most, whatever your own criteria is for America's favorite house guest. That's fine. It's just like voting for the $500,000 winner at the end. There aren't any rules about how you do that voting. Just use whatever feels comfortable for you. But I don't want to influence y'all's votes. I don't have anything against the other former house guests who are doing that. And, if they want to, that's fine. But I feel like y'all ought to be voting for who you want to win, not based on who other people are voting for, who the polls say is in the lead or anything. Just make your own decisions and vote for who you enjoyed. So I'm going to keep it a secret. Yes, I do have favorites, but I'm going to keep it a secret. Yeah, Angie Hung, can you vote for yourself? Uh, yeah, a write-in candidate. Yeah, I don't think Big Brother would be too happy to see that. And of course, I couldn't vote for myself last season, but I guarantee you my family did a lot of voting. They better have done a lot of voting. I better not find out anyone was voting for anyone other than Oak Cliff Hog from my family last year. Um, let's see, Mama Hog. How did the voting last season affect you all when you didn't know whether it was good or bad? Yeah, we had the one where three people got picked by America, and competed. The winner was safe from nomination. The loser was nominated immediately, and the second place finisher had a punishment. Mickey was safe. Sis got the punishment of dressing up like a chicken for a week, and Christy was on the nomination block immediately. That was so funny because when the vote first came in, we spent a lot of time inside that house saying, "Is it good or bad that America voted for you?" Christy and Sis and Mickey, all three were saying, "Yeah, it's bad. They obviously don't like us, or they wouldn't have put us in a situation where we could get an automatic nomination onto the block." And the rest of us all were saying, "No, you don't know that. Maybe they were just they felt you were at risk, and so they wanted to give you the safety by letting you compete in the thing." And so we tried to make them not feel so bad that America maybe didn't like them. But most of us, I certainly knew that was not something I wanted. As soon as they announced it, I was like, "Oh God, don't put me in that little competition, because it's not going to be a good sign if I'm getting the chance of getting that automatic nomination." So yeah, we basically knew it was a bad thing, but we tried to convince them that they probably love y'all. It's just, there's a bad, but there's also a good part with it. Uh, so yeah, I've got a question from YouTube from Mary Roger. Yeah. And this is the idea of, do you ever see a season where it would be only senior house guest playing the game, and how would that play out? I would like to see a season where we have more than just one older house guest in there. It would have been cool. Picture myself and Kevin, or Donnie, or a few of the other older players playing together, where you could work together a little bit more and not feel like such an outcast from day number one. I think it would be a lot of fun. Do I see it happening? No, probably not, because one, I think Big Brother over the years has started gravitating towards more physical competitions instead of mental competitions. And I've read some things saying that they think the physical ones, maybe they think the physical ones are a little more entertaining for viewers to watch. And with more physical stuff, they're probably not going to lean towards the older house guest taking up all the slots in the season. Plus, I don't know. I think demographics and everything else that we hear about on TV viewership and all, they want to make sure they have the all age segments watching. And so now I think we'll always, to some degree, this will always be a younger person's game. But I'd love to see a few more people, and not just one at a time, older person in the house. It would be a lot of fun. Yeah, Angie saying, but not too old. Don't want anybody with canes. During my audition process, a few times I was asked, "So what do you think? You'd probably be one of the older people in the house." And I always came back and said, "Well, unless y'all tell me it's a special geriatric season, if I'm competing against a bunch of people with canes and walkers and things like that, I think I can be a competition beast." They all laughed about that, but yeah, I didn't really expect to see a lot of that when I got into the house. Lord, there were some competitions. I wish we'd had a little more of that. I felt like I needed a cane after a few of those competitions, such as this competition tonight. Most of y'all, I assume, watch the episode. Hanging from those ropes. Now, I love the theme tonight. I am a huge zombie fan, especially with Halloween and all that. George Romero and the zombies. I love that type of horror movie. So I would have had fun dressing up and walking like I was a zombie and all that. But hanging onto a rope while standing on that disc and getting spun around was a horrible competition for me last year. I hated it. I guess my body's a little bit wider than some of the other people that were competing. Yeah, look at me, look at Nicole Anthony. Our features aren't quite the same, and I think my center of gravity hung out a little away from the center of that disc a little more than other people. So I never could get straight up and down that rope. I was always at an angle, and I had the worst bruises on my forearms from trying to hold on and that rope just rubbing for those 20 minutes or however long I was on that rope. It was brutal. It was miserable. It was one of the worst competitions that I did my entire season last year. So I hated the competition, but I love the theme of it tonight. And I'm not really surprised that Nicole won it. That seems like a competition that was well suited for her. And we know she's good at endurance competitions as well. David Buchanan, favorite George A. Romero movie? I'm going to say Dawn of the Dead, then I'm going to say Day of the Dead, and then I'm going to say Night of the Living Dead in that order. We're going to talk about Big Brother, so I won't go into this a lot. But the very first time I saw Dawn of the Dead, was at a midnight showing in a movie theater inside a shopping mall. When the movie let out, a security guard had to lead us through this dark, closed-down mall with flashlights. And so it felt very much like the setting of Dawn of the Dead, where they're in a shopping mall surrounded by zombies. And I've loved it ever since. All right. Favorite Wes Craven movie? I don't know. The People Under the Stairs, maybe. Top Gun Phantom. I haven't watched theirs in a while. Mama Hog, Dad Bod's Rule. Well, I'd like to think I'm not ashamed of my dad bod, but it certainly makes it a little tougher in some competitions. But hey, I had to work at this. This isn't the kind of body you develop overnight. I've spent decades trying to fine tune it. So it is it is what it is. All right, another couple of questions I've got from YouTube as we go through here. Drip. The Hog Father, Drip says I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I tried, man. I tried to play the game, but I tried to have fun while I was in there as well. Ashley H has a question. Yeah. When playing competitions, do we get a chance to review the rules and such beforehand? Do we get a chance to practice beforehand, or do we just jump in like you see on TV? Well, what y'all don't see, we are read the rules before we start, and usually it's just through a speaker. Someone say, okay, here's the thing. For instance, tonight they may have said, you have to hold on to the rope. If your feet leave, you have to put them back on the disc, within a certain period of time. I know our competition of this type last year, we were told you can't wind the rope around your arm or your legs, where if you fell, it could create major damage. You have to just hold on straight. You can't, twist it up thing. So there are rules that, just for the interest of time, y'all don't see and hear and such. So we're always read those type of rules. As far as practicing beforehand, not really. This competition, we did not get to practice beforehand. So when I stood on that disc, I wasn't really sure just where to put my feet to create the best center of gravity and everything else. There are one or two competitions, if it's a live competition and there's concern that we may not understand exactly how to play the game before, when we first get out in the backyard. There's been a time or two where we saw the competition ahead of time and got a real quick practice, but those are very, very few events. Maybe one or two a season is it. So for the most part, what you see is what we're seeing. We're walking out in the backyard. We're seeing it. We're saying, geez, all right, now how are we going to play this game? A minute or two to read the rules, and then we're playing the game, and that's it. All right, Abby Love, howdy, welcome. Let's see. Mason, I can't believe Julie was live tonight. I don't know if you already read my comment or not. I was trying to get ready for the show. I saw her talking. I didn't realize that she was live tonight or not. But hey, we're at the end, so it wouldn't surprise me that she spent a little more time doing some live and such as well. Crosstrack saying, I don't know if she was live. Yeah, I don't know if she was or not. It's such a crazy. How weird is it going to be that when we have the finale on Wednesday, are all the jury going to be back on that sound stage, socially distanced 6 feet apart, and reading their questions to the final two? Or are they going to be off somewhere else in separate rooms, and it's just all going to be done visually, virtually, as we've seen with some of the other reality shows and things that are happening right now? I don't know. And another thing, too, is typically, and I was asked this on Instagram a day or two ago, once we finish the show, we do backyard interviews. We go in the backyard. There's, I don't know, 2 dozen media outlets, and we just rotate from person to person doing our interviews, talking about the game and all that. I can't imagine them doing that this year because of COVID and everything. So I would think a lot of things are going to happen virtually just to make sure that everyone stays safe and secure, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But it is going to make it tough for the jury members and for the people still in the house. You've been through this whole season, and when you get to the end and you do all the interviews, you go to a wrap party that same night, with the cameramen, the producers, things like that for a few hours. There's all these things that are kind of, it's almost like a welcome. Welcome back to the real world. We're glad you're done. Let us give you a chance to kind of verbalize and decompress about your season and everything else. And so much of that is not going to happen because of COVID. They may do virtual interviews. They may do some stuff here or there, but they're also still going to feel very isolated when they get done. And they aren't going to, it's not like they're going, I would hope they're not going to Vegas and partying and doing things like that. It's going to be very stark transition. We're going straight from the house to get on a plane, fly back home, see your families, which I know they're excited about. Nothing against that, but they aren't going to have that same ability to kind of decompress and transition that maybe we've seen in the past. Behas, who did you enjoy the most as the interviewer? Gosh, there were so many. I've always been a huge fan of Rob Has a Podcast. So to see Taryn Armstrong and Rob's sister Nino they're doing in person, and I'm walking up to them, and that was kind of my own celebrity crush, fanning on those guys that I was actually talking to Rob Has a Podcast. So they were my favorite. It was just a blur. It's just from one person. JC was there doing some interviewing as well from season 20. So, it's all these people. It was just a lot of fun. But I really was ready to see my family. I kept saying, can I see my family and then do the interviews? No, you got to do all this first. Then you can see them a little bit later. Crosstrack. I thought Holly threw the rope competition to Nicole. She did. She absolutely did, which I'm amazed that she did it. I mean, she had promised she would, but I didn't know that she would really follow through with it. When she dropped, I was like, oh my gosh, when she dropped is the one time I thought, well, maybe Mickey really is going to keep his promise as well to evict Holly if he gets a chance. I wasn't certain about it until I saw that, and I thought, well, maybe they are serious. As it turns out, he did it because he didn't want Holly to be protected in case Nicole or I had won the POV. He wanted to make sure that Holly was exposed as well. So Mickey was playing a strategic game, even in terms of telling Holly, convincing her that she truly did need to drop from the rope. But as a result, our competition, like we saw tonight, ours last season was not very fast, or not very long. As soon as I dropped, which wasn't after maybe 15, 20 minutes, as soon as that happened, then Holly dropped, let Nicole have the victory, and it was what it was. Holly was not happy about it. You're right, Crosstrack. I've heard later that it took a lot of convincing, and it would have actually benefited me perhaps to have her not throw it. If she hadn't thrown it, if she'd won the HOH, then Nicole and I both would have been exposed, and who knows what happens. But hey, you play your best game, you make your best assumptions, and it just worked out for them. It was we had some really strong physical competition game challenges at the end, which Nicole and I both were thinking wasn't going to be. We were thinking it's going to be more like we saw last week with the night moves, the chess competitions, more mental type deals. Wasn't the case. So move on. Expect the unexpected. I've got another question from YouTube from Olivia Parker. Hey, Olivia. If I'd made the final three with Mickey and Holly, and I'd won that final HOH, who would I take? I would have taken Holly in a heartbeat. There is no way I was going to take Mickey to the final two. Not with that guy being such a competition beast, winning everything. I already had started rehearsing speeches and all of that. I wanted to, now, obviously I take Nicole. If I have an option at all, I take Nicole. She was my ride or die. There was no way. I even opened my mouth too much by even telling Mickey that, look, just so you know, I'm taking Nicole over you if it ever comes down to it, which I probably shouldn't have said. But Nicole was always my ride or die. But if it was with Mickey and Holly, I would have taken Holly. I'd already prepared my speeches saying the only reason Holly is here is because she rode Mickey's coattails, that she would have been long gone if it wasn't for that. She didn't have the target on her back like I did at the beginning. So absolutely guaranteed Mickey, if I had my choice, would never be sitting next to me in the final two, because he was just too strong from a competition standpoint. There was no way. Angie, production that spent so much money on that spinning. Oh, yeah, poor production. Oh, they had the biggest set for us. They had the fires everywhere and an 18-wheeler and all of this. And we get out there and I fall off. Holly throws it. I'm sure the set designer's like, really? We spent 72 hours building this stuff. Who knows how many months designing the set and everything. for a 20-minute competition. Thanks a lot, guys. Well, all I got to say is if you give me a mental competition, it would have lasted a lot longer, but so it's on you, more so than on me. But yeah, it was that was a tough competition. That and the slingshots for the POV of the same week were just brutal. I'm still paying a price for that from a physical standpoint. That just killed me on both of them. What a way to go out! But I went out fighting. I stayed up as long as I could. I fought as long as I could. So all right. So let's see what else do we have. Let's see. Hanging on. Yeah, that's right. All right. Let me talk about the committee alliance. I mentioned it. Is this the best? Is this the most successful alliance of all time? What are y'all thinking? I mentioned before the fact that they won all but 2 HOH competitions. It's hard to shake up the house when you've got that much power. Made for less chaos, less surprises and such. But what an amazing alliance. Of course, the other thing, on the other side of the coin, are they really the best alliance, or is it just because they won every competition, so they were never really challenged? Back last season, the Grateful Eight, the Six Shooters, whatever you want to call them, if they had won every competition, would they have stayed solid? Would we be saying the same thing about them? Maybe it's not so much the alliance as just the way things turn out that caused them to do so well this time. So I don't know. Britt Powell saying, how many questions does each juror get to ask at the final 2? One question. And here's kind of how it works. Think of it. We've got 9, if I recall, we've got 9 jurors, of which I guess there's 8 of them because like last season, Nicole wasn't on the jury yet. So there were 8 of us. And if I recall, each of us 3 people came up with a question for each of the 3 contestants that were left. So that at the end, when it was Mickey and Holly in the final 2, 3 of us asked a question to Mickey, 3 of us asked a question to Holly. Nicole, I don't remember if she asked a question at all, or if so, it just was on her own. I don't think she asked anything at all. And the other 2 people who had come up with questions for Nicole just didn't have a question. And I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. So I know my question was to Mickey, asking how much he thought about jury management, given the goodbye message that he gave to me, which was kind of a mean goodbye message. But so that's how it works. So we already, before we go in, we know who we're going to ask a question to, who's asking those questions and such. We come up with the questions. I mean, it's absolutely the jurors who do it. But there's a little bit of an approval process with production, and you can't say anything that's too horrifically terrible or libelous. And, you got to be within some parameters. But they left it up to us to ask the questions, and so we knew ahead of time. But each person asked one question, 3 to each of the final 2, as I recall. It's been a little while. All right. Yeah, Nicole A saying, I think it's 3 questions. You're right, Nicole. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So Biha saying, did you get to finish? Did I get to finish the slip and slide? No, I didn't. I never knew how much they showed of the show, but Mickey won that competition. In my head, there's 2 things I'm thinking. One, I'm never going to get a chance to do a slip and slide again, so I'm just going to keep doing it as long as I can. But the other part is that I had just agreed with Tommy and Nick and everyone that I would, if they would protect me and send Kat home instead of myself, in exchange, I would turn on Mickey and send him out the door if I had the chance. And Mickey knew about it. And so now Mickey's HOH, and I thought, whoa, I better try to repair my relationship with that guy real quick, or else I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So after he won the competition, I knew he was big on effort and giving it all you've got, and fight through the pain and all that. So I said, all right, I'm going to keep going as long as I can and try to impress him with my perseverance. And so I kept slipping and sliding afterwards. And eventually production came over loudspeaker and said, Cliff, it's already over. And I said, I know it. When else am I going to get a chance to do this? And they said, well, you're going to need to shut it down. And I said, well, can I just go until I finish it up? Please just let me do that. And at first they said yes. They said, yeah, go for it, Cliff. That's fine. Well, then I guess they saw how long it was taking me to go back and forth. And suddenly there were probably some cameramen saying, I got a date in a couple hours. He's going to be out here for the next 5 or 6 hours at this rate. So eventually production came back and said, yeah, Cliff, you're not going to be able to finish it up. So we struck a deal that I would get to continue. We wear wet microphones. Obviously, some of these competitions where you get wet and stuff, you have to wear special mics. And so everyone was having to switch out those microphones for the ones you wear indoors. So I said, hey, can I be the last one to switch out my microphone? Will y'all at least let me go as long as possible? once everyone's gotten their microphone switched out and it's my turn, then I'll stop. And they said, yeah, you can do that, Cliff. So I did slip and slide until everyone else had their mics off, was ready to go back in the house, and then I had to go turn mine in. And I got about halfway through or so. So yeah, I thought real hard about saying, I'm going to keep doing it, guys. Y'all can give me a penalty nomination or whatever. I'm going to finish this no matter what. But then reality set in. I said, well, I don't want to be on the block, so I'm not doing that. So yeah, I eventually shut it down. So, I didn't know. B-Hoss was saying it was on the feeds, and Chicky D says on the feeds as well. Oh, cool. I actually did not know that. I guess I need to go watch that episode, and of course the feeds are gone. But yeah, I didn't know how much they showed up. But yeah, part of it was gameplay, trying to impress Mickey and all that. The other part of it was just straight up, when else am I going to get to do a slip and slide competition? I wasn't ready to stop. It was tiring, but I wasn't ready to stop. Crosstrack, do they give you special shoes for slip and slide? Yeah, they do. They're like ballet shoes, not with little toe ends and all of that. Just very, very dinky little small things that you slide on that have no arch or anything. They just form to your feet, and they're just slippery on the bottom. And between that and the lard or Crisco or whatever they were using on that slip and slide, there was no traction whatsoever. And that was a tough one because I had pulled my left muscle or actually tore my left muscle on an earlier veto competition. And so trying to push off to get up and down that ramp all for the hour or so it took to do that competition, every time I did it, I could just feel the pain in my calf as I tried to do it. So it wasn't the easiest competition, but it was such an iconic competition. Just to be out there I'll never forget it. And I only fell a couple of times. I didn't break anything, so I kind of figured that's a success for me. It was Mickey on one side of me, Jessica on the other side. Mickey's just flying back and forth. It took me about 2 minutes to realize I wasn't winning this competition. And from that point on, it's just a matter of Jessica and myself trying not to look too horrible when we fell. Jessica had some really hard falls. Not quite like falling off the wall and screaming and all that, but she had some rough ones. I didn't have any that were too horrible. I just wasn't going nearly as fast as Mickey was. Sindelica, pig grease. Yeah, it was some kind of pig grease or lard or something else. It was everywhere. And we had those costumes. We washed them over and over again trying to get that stuff out of there. And they sent that costume. Remember, it's Oktoberfest, so it's kind of lederhosen type things. I still have that. They sent that in a memorabilia box to me, and I had it all sealed up. And when I opened up the packaging, took a whiff, I said, yeah, I'm glad they did it because it still smells like lard. We'll never get rid of the smell in that particular uniform. Mama Hog, Mickey also offered to finish for you, but you turned him down. Yeah, he came over. He's going to help me finish. And I said, no, this is my task. I'm going to finish. I appreciate Mickey, but I want to finish. And, all right, another question from YouTube. From Olivia Parker again. Yeah, and she's asking, did I get to meet any of the cameramen or producers, people from behind the scenes? Yeah, in the wrap party we had afterwards, I got to meet a few people. I know I met one or two cameramen, and they said, yeah, I'm the one who was sitting there filming you while you were sleeping in the middle of the night. So, okay, well, it's a strange feeling that these people know you and who you are intimately, and you don't know anything about them. They're a random face that you've never seen before. And so that was kind of strange. What was really interesting was meeting some of the people who were the producers of the segments, the ones who talked to us inside the diary room. I've mentioned before, we don't see faces. All we have is a speaker asking us questions inside that diary room. And so I knew people by the names, hey, I'm so-and-so. And say, hey, so-and-so, how are you doing today? Yeah, how's life in the Big Brother house? Tell us what's going on with your day. What happened with the eavesdropping, this or that. So then when we do the wrap party and someone comes and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I was the one talking to you. I was one of the producers. And then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, we do have a relationship. Now I only know you by voice, and it's nice to finally see a face attached to it. So yeah, I got to meet some of the producers and such, and that was kind of fun. I wish I could still reach out to them and talk and everything else, but I just didn't have enough details to do so. And one of these days, I want to go back. Everyone wants to go back on Big Brother, and I'm certainly the same way. But just as much as that, I would love to go back to some season and just convince the producers of Big Brother to let me go behind the scenes and look at the camera racks and rails and how everything operates and the production all the stuff that we didn't get to see as guests. I would love to do that. They may not let me because they don't want to have any secrets divulged, but I'll sign some 4,000-page document promising not to say anything at all, because I would love to see the behind the scenes of what happens on this show, because it's so much more involved than I can even imagine, I'm sure. All right, so Angie saying, and this time have backgammon in the house for you. Yeah, has there been anyone that's promoted backgammon more than Big Brother over the last couple of seasons? I taught everyone in the house last season. Ian is a huge backgammon fan this season. He got everyone playing again this time. So it's funny. You don't see people playing backgammon except on Big Brother. But hey, we'll do what we can to promote. I asked for dominoes last season. I wanted dominoes. I was going to teach them how to play a game we play down here in Texas called 42. They wouldn't give them to us. I guess they felt like probably the dominoes clacking together would have messed with the microphones too much or something. I don't know. All right, let's see. Crosstrack. I would love to be on Survivor. Me too, Crosstrack. That would be fun. I would have a blast. Now they've got mental competitions as well, but I also think when you're sitting out there in bad conditions, lack of food, things like that. I've been through enough stuff over the years. I feel like I'd be okay and be able to handle some of the less fun parts of being at an island more so than some other people. So that'd be a lot of fun as well. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. So let's talk about this. Who's going to win this? We kind of buried the lead, didn't we? Who do y'all think's going to win? I kind of think it's got to be Cody at this point, right? It's his game to lose. I feel like he's done a good job. I always talk about, and I did this last year when I was voting, the three variables that I took into consideration when trying to decide between Holly and Mickey. One was competition. How well did you do in the competitions themselves? Two was how well did you play the game strategically? And three was how well did you manage your relationships, your jury management, things like that. And if we look at those three this season, from a competition standpoint, it's got to be Cody, right? And the other two aren't even close to Cody. So I give that one to Cody. If you talk about strategic gameplay, I think I have to give that one to Cody as well. I mean, you think about it, he had his kind of core alliances, final twos with some people, but then also all these little side deals and accessory people to the alliances and such. I just felt like he's played an amazing game. The idea that he has won so many competitions, he should have so much blood on his hand in terms of people he sent home. And yet from the jury standpoint, most of them seem like they still like Cody and they respect his game. That says a lot about the strategic part of what he's done. So I give it to Cody on the competition side and the strategic side. From a jury management side, again, Cody doesn't have any real enemies, but I almost have to give that one to Enzo because he's done such a good job. I don't think anyone dislikes Enzo on the jury. Maybe Christmas is a little perturbed with him, but everyone else I think would be love the guy. I don't know if they'd give him the money because he hadn't played strategically or competition-wise as strong as Cody has. But I almost give Enzo the jury management part of the puzzle. Nicole, strategically, I think she's played a fantastic game. She recognized that she's going to have this huge target on her back, so she kind of stepped back and said, I'm going to play a little weak. I'm going to not make myself look like a big threat so I can get to the very end. I did a little bit of that. Not that I threw comps. I didn't ever throw a competition. There were some I wanted to win more than others, but I never threw a competition. But I also recognized that I needed to make myself look like no threat whatsoever with that big alliance so they wouldn't be in a hurry to get rid of me. And I tried to do a little bit of what Nicole did. The problem for Nicole, though, is as great a strategy as that is to get you to the final two, when you're asking people to award you the title, suddenly playing weak and playing like you were not a threat comes back and it bites you. And so there's a weakness in that particular strategy, and I think it's fair to now take that in consideration when you're voting who to give the money to. So I think it's got to be I almost think it's got to be Cody to win this thing, unless something happens and Cody doesn't make it to the final two. Hint, hint, Enzo and Nicole, if y'all are not watching me, but hopefully they've taken that into consideration. Getting back to Slick and Slide, Chicky D said, didn't he lose his pants? Yeah, Mickey's pants started falling off, so they said he could just take them off if he wanted. And next thing I know, Mickey's off going to the beat of a different drummer, so to speak. When do you think the next Big Brother will come on? Mason Boland's asking. I think we'll be back to a regular schedule next year, which means middle of June, end of June, we'd start it up. I'm God, I hope so. Unless something still goes on with COVID, surely not. Surely, I can't stand. I couldn't take another 9 months or so. So I think we'll be back to a regular schedule. With that being said, do y'all know that casting is now open for Big Brother 23? It sounds like it may be pretty much virtual tryouts this year, which means send in your auditions as opposed to showing up to casting calls and all that. But be thinking about it because. Again, I tried out once and I made it on the show. So don't let anyone tell you that you don't have a chance to get on, because you do. It may be like winning the lottery. It was for me, but that doesn't mean it still doesn't happen to someone. So be thinking about it, y'all. I'll try out. Most amazing experience. Beha saying this winner's the rumor. I think, just my old personal opinion, I think they take a breath and just kind of say, we made it. We made it through COVID. Now let's get that taken care of before we try to come back and do another Big Brother. The only reason they maybe wouldn't is if CBS doesn't have a lot of content because of COVID. They haven't filmed a lot of their dramas and sitcoms and things like that. So maybe there would be some incentive to use the house as is, bring in, be it celebrity or bring in some kind of over the top season, something like that. Maybe I could see that happen. If so, it'll be fun watching it with a bunch of newbies in there or the celebrities and such. But no, I kind of think as late as this one's gone, we're already into November. To try to now do something in the winter doesn't give them a lot of time for turnaround. So I think next summer is my best guess. Angie saying if Nicole wins part 3 and cuts Cody, that's a possibility. And here's the thing. I think if Cody got cut, the jury would award the person who did that with a lot of respect for playing the game. I think that is Nicole's only vehicle to success. She's not going to win, I don't think, up against Cody. Her only chance is to win the final competition and then say, look, I controlled my own fate when it was important, when it was necessary. I sent the biggest threat home. Now it's me. I think they would probably give it to her over Enzo. And who would think that someone who already won Big Brother would even have a chance to win a second season of Big Brother? It just blows my mind that she is still there. So it does say something about her strategic gameplay. But yeah, I think that is her only chance, is to actually cut Cody. But to do that, she has to beat Cody in a final 2 competition, which may or may not happen. If Cody isn't cut, he wins. Nicole A. fan, I agree. I agree with that completely. But I expected, I told y'all way back, I thought this was going to be the one season where we'd have the most bitter jury that we've ever seen. And I don't think that's the case. I think the way we've seen these little jury segments, I think for the most part, these All-Stars all have enough respect for the game. They're going to vote on who, for the most part, I think they're going to vote on who deserves it and not who personally didn't turn on them, didn't betray them, things like that. I think they're going to not be a bitter jury, which as a fan, I like to see. I'm happy for that. Davon's even said she'd consider voting for Nicole again. Crosstrack says, I'm real curious about that. I truly am. Davon voted for Nicole in their first season together, and it let Nicole win the money. Davon seemed so upset at Nicole at the time, but we saw Nicole practicing her potential jury speech yesterday, and she talked about how she's going to say, hey, this whole thing involving Davon, it was strictly strategy. I was having to do it to protect my game. It was nothing personal at all. And she may be able to convince Davon that it was a gameplay. And if that's the case, as long as Davon thinks it was gameplay and not a personal type situation, which he originally had claimed, then I think Davon is not going to be a bitter juror. I think she would vote for who deserves it as well. B-Haas, thank you so much for the information. I appreciate it. Let's see. Top Gun fam, advice for future players. Yeah, Top Gun fam, I got some advice for future players. Keep your mouth shut. You don't owe anyone information. Everyone expects you to spill the beans on everything. Talk a whole lot less and listen a whole lot more. I tried to do that. Sometimes I was more successful than other times, but there's nothing wrong with just being a sponge, taking everything else in, and letting other people doing all the blustery talking and everything else. My other advice is you got to realize when we played last season, it was 99 days. What's it going to be? 83, 84 days, 85 days this season. That's a long time to be in that house. You can't burn out too quick. You can't come in on your first week and try to do everything on the first few weeks, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you have to spend time building your relationships. Every day you have to work at everything that you do in there, but you can't get so aggressive so fast that you overexpose yourself. And then you're that type of person that that had this huge effect perhaps in the first few weeks of the game, but then you're booted pre-jury and everyone kind of forgets about you at the end of the season. So you just have to be patient in there and realize that you've got hours and hours and hours of conversations to be had. So you don't have to do it all at once. Let's see. What else on here? Chicky D. Did Rachel Riley have her kid? I don't know. I haven't heard that yet. I know she's pretty close. Davon was also on the challenge. Mason says, yeah, she was. I saw that season. It's been a while. Wow, Behas, thank you for a lot of animations. I appreciate it. Cross Track, thank you for an animation as well. Chicky D. Cliff, you are such a natural in the game. Well, thank you. I gave it everything I had. I spent a lot of time playing over the years, playing Monopoly and Risk and everything with my family. So this whole idea of playing strategy games, I treated Big Brother as though it was a 3.5 long Risk board game with $500,000 at the end, which makes it a little interesting. But now I treat it the same way. And that's why I've always said, just like playing the games at home, once you get through playing, you aren't mad at the people. It's a game, then you move on. I felt the same with Big Brother, and I've tried to always live with that idea in mind. And for the most part, I feel like I wish everyone would do that. Some people do, some people don't, but it's hard. It's hard. All right, another question from YouTube. Ashley H. asked me, if I was in the jury and I could ask anyone a question, what would I ask them? Oh, that's bad, Ashley. That's a good question. I think I would ask Cody a question along the lines of, you had a lot of final twos in this game. Which of them were you serious about, and which of them were nothing but a convenience final two? If you are you with the person that was, I don't know. It's tough to ask because they're going to say what matches with what they think you want to hear. So of course they're going to say, oh, you were my true final two. If you'd been still in there, we would have been at the end. But I think I would have some kind of question about, does he feel, what does he think about, should people be bitter that he promised final twos to so many people that he didn't keep, that he didn't necessarily honor, that it became obvious that he was willing to throw a lot of final twos away based on the fact that he had so many of them. So I think I would probably ask a question, something like that. I see a few people cross track. I enjoyed chatting with you, Cliff. Thank you so much. Abby Love as well. I thank all of y'all. This has been so much fun, and we're not going to stop. We're just changing it up a little bit. Nicole Fan, I like that before the wife phrase. I just did that just spur of the moment. I wasn't really thinking anything about it. And then I did a couple more times, and it seemed like production was always happy when I did it. So I just kept on doing it. Who would know? It's kind of like Kat saying, bitches conspiring against me. And I had my little before the wife. Didn't plan on it. Just kind of happened. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Top Gun Phantom, should Big Brother get rid of recruits? No, I don't have any problem. Chicky D, thank you for your animation. I don't have any problem, Top Gun fan, with them recruiting a few people. I wouldn't want the entire season to be nothing but recruits. But if they get one or two recruits because they think it fills out the rest of the cast that's already been picked, I'm okay with that. Well, a few recruits, a few casting calls, a few audition tapes sent in, and you get your mix, whatever they think is going to work best, then that's fine with me. Nicole Fan gifted me an animation. Thank you so much. Mason says, really funny watching you and others play in the dark. Oh, you don't realize, Mason, how dark it was. I mean, truly, put your hand in front of your face right here, and you couldn't see anything at all. It was that dark. That maze that we competed in was horrible. It was tough. I was so happy that I was the first one to find the exit to that thing, because obviously my whole game, everything I prepared for could have been gone on day one. And that's one of the reasons I was cheering so much for David this season, because I was so happy to see him get the redemption tour and get another chance, because I felt so sorry for him. I felt the connection with him on that day one where he got booted, and it so easily could have been me. So it just didn't work out last season. So I'm glad he got another chance. All right. Chicky D, I subscribe to your YouTube channel, so look forward to seeing you there. Perfect segue. Thank you, Chicky D. I appreciate it. Just so y'all do know, again, TVCO is going slightly different direction. I appreciate their support, but we're going to continue this show. I'm going to be continuing on YouTube, probably YouTube Live. So we'll still have the give and take questions and answers and everything. So we'll be starting that next week. Find me on YouTube, subscribe, also turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything. Specific dates and times, I'll send out some notifications just so y'all know. But yeah, the season's over, so we'll talk about a little Big Brother, but we'll be talking about some other things. But yeah, it's not ending. We're just changing it up a little bit, the platform and everything. So yeah, please find me on YouTube. I look forward to continuing the conversation. But in the meanwhile, I've had so much fun here on TVCO. Thank y'all so much. Chicky D, thank you for the animation as well. And well, again, 3 more days, guys. We're just almost there. I'll get some sleep here in a couple of days, but I'm gonna hate it. So, with that being said, thank you so much for all of you, not just for tonight, for all of you who've sat through 39 episodes or so as well, listening to me talk. I'd like to think I've offered up some insider information and some insider insights and all of that. You've gotten to listen to me ramble a little bit more at the same time. I've got some more travel stories. I'll keep on telling those once we finish up with Big Brother. But thank y'all all for supporting me, for supporting TVCO. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it doesn't stop here. We're just changing the location of the party a little bit. Does that sound all right with y'all? All right. With that being said, guys, let me finish this up and talk about, wow. Thank all of y'all for supporting. Just by watching means so much to me. I just love talking to fellow Big Brother fans. It means the world to me. So thank y'all. B. Haas, Chicky D, JP from New Jersey, Angie Hung, Nicole A. Fan, 83, Crosstrack 6, It's Only Me You See, Sindelica, Kellogg 37, everyone whose names I just have recognized from start to finish on this thing. Thank you so much for the support in terms of animations, tips, everything else. I treasure you. I value you guys. It's so cool to be part of this Big Brother family. It's a part of the Big Brother experience that I hadn't really thought all the way through when I was in the house, where I was so focused on playing the game. But this really is one of the most cool parts about the whole thing. So thank y'all. And the auditions are now open, casting. So it's your turn. I want to be sitting on the couch next summer and cheering for someone who was out here watching Cliff Notes. You can give a shout out while you're on the show saying, yeah, I used to watch Cliff Notes last season. And then I'm going to be so happy, and I'm just going to be jumping for joy on the couch. So thank you guys for watching. I'll get you more details about how we're going to proceed with Cliff Notes, but we are going to proceed. Y'all have a great rest of the week. A fantastic Wednesday. We're going to watch a finale. Someone is going to walk out of that place Wednesday with a check for $500,000. And 2 other people are not going to be so happy, but they're still going to be done. They're going to see their families. You can't take away a final 3 finish in Big Brother All-Stars. That is saying a lot. Props to everyone who's played that game, and the 3 that are left especially. Special recognition and applause for them. Guys, y'all have a fantastic rest of the week. I will see y'all somewhere next week. Yeah, it'll be YouTube. So I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a fantastic day. SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. And I love all the Big Brother fans out there. Y'all have a great one, guys. Cheers. Bye.